Hello and welcome to the EML F1 Season 8 Championship, and today you join us for round 8 here in Las Vegas, and more specifically the Las Vegas Strip. The circuit is very new, only created in 2023, all for the streets of Las Vegas, and of course over the last 2 years it has become the race that has been known as one of the most spectacular races literally every single season. It's such a great spectacle, and the drivers reach such high speeds that it's actually been compared to the Temple of Speed itself, Monza. Now unfortunately I do not have a track guide available, so we'll hop straight into the action. Last week we were at Canada for round 7, and it was an incredibly high-paced race. We had drivers swapping the race lead back and forth throughout the entirety of the race session after a red flag about halfway through, and then a safety car 3 laps from the end. However, it only stayed out for a single lap before the action came back on, and then it got spicy. Evolution Racing had an incredible restart, pitting the leader, dropping him down to P5, but after an incredible strategy after the restart, he managed to gain 3 positions up to P2 by the end of the very next lap. An incredible performance, but unfortunately penalties all around meant that they didn't manage to finish with Leo on the podium. However, they got the other driver on the podium, so that was still good for them. They still managed to get James on there in P3. That means then that Evolution Racing is currently on 180 points, leading the championship, with Alien Motorsport not far behind with 159. QSL also only 15 points behind, approximately. No, it is 15 exactly. Sorry, commentator maths in the moment, kind of maths for a commentator is a bit tricky, so I'm actually surprised I got that. QSL in P3 with 144 points. Formula 1 Academy France with 111, and Esports PEC with 86 points, rounding out your top 5. And then of course you've got the other teams: DLX with 72, WFRC with 57, Accelerate with 45, Xbox Pro Gamers 43, and ERS Esport with 3 points. However, of course, ERS has been replaced with HRT, who last week showed up in the Ferraris. It was so good to see the red cars back out on track after a 2-week break. We didn't see them for 2 weeks before last week, so yeah, it's great that they could participate in round 7. Unfortunately, however, neither car managed to finish the race, so hopefully tonight will be different. Now, our driver lineup for tonight, don't worry, Accelerate and HRT, I'm sure I've got some drivers on, because of course this was actually released a few days early and all the teams hadn't quite gotten their driver lineups ready yet. So we've got Callo Blue and Antonio Jesus for DLX, hopefully. We've got Enzo and Shanks for FRC, Exotic Planes and Leo back again for EVR. HRT, of course, blank at the moment, but we might see them out on track. Manolo for XPG alongside Neon. Misha and Knight are driving for AMS tonight, with Bibim and Jerem driving for F1 AF. Accelerate, a blank slate on this graphic, but of course we'll wait and see what it's like out there. Roll Ruiz and Lacey out there for Kick, Sauber and PEC. Chowski and Leward are driving for QSL tonight. And if it's your first time joining us, welcome. My name's Yanis Mayer. I'll be leading you through tonight's action. And this is what our race calendar looks like. We've been through 7 races already. Can you believe we've been through 7-8 weeks of racing? I can't believe time has just flown by like this. So we only, after this race, have 4 races left in the championship at Marina Bay, Mexico City, Texas, and finally, of course, Yas Marina. Now, if you're also wondering what the point scoring is or how that works, it's similar to F1, real F1, but not quite the same. We've got 22 points for the race winner, 18 points for P2, 15 points for the final podium position, with 12 points for P4, and then it's a 1-point difference for each position afterwards, which means at the end of the day that you only have 15 drivers scoring points. Well, I say only. In real F1, they only have 10 point scoring teams. Anyways, you can pick up an extra point for pole position or the fast lap, which can be obtained in the qualifying and the race respectively. But with all that said, let's head to the track. Now, of course, we are under the lights, and I heard a sneaky, well, I would say sneaky. I heard a interesting statistic that it took about 32 kilometers of cabling to get all the lights working for this circuit, or to get it all illuminated like this. So, yeah, we kind of have to appreciate the effort put into this. I might hop into some facts later on, but for now we have got our initial laps in for qualifying. And again, if you're new or you just need a refresher, it's a short qualifying format, i.e. 17 or 18 minutes of qualifying. I can never understand which one because I'm always late to it, and then followed by half race length. Now at the moment, Knight is on pole position with a 1:30.2. Knight has been qualifying pole in the last 3 weeks. He's qualified pole twice in the last 3 weeks. That was at, if you give me one moment, that was of course at the Hungaroring and Monaco. But last week we had a different driver on pole. We had the PEC Esport car of Linares take pole position, which was it was great seeing a fresh face on pole position. It really was. So I can't wait to see what tonight brings. Of course, we shouldn't forget Evolution Racing's streak right at the start of the season. They absolutely dominated with 4 pole positions in a row before EML took charge and started taking pole positions as well. Ah, yes. Good shout. It usually helps if you show the action on track, isn't it? There we go. Now, as always, if you guys see anything or notice anything that's a bit wacky or needs changing, let me know and I can change it for you. I've just had someone let me know, so cheers for that. Appreciate that. Cool, so yes, we do have HRT cars on the grid, and we do also have an XR8 car. Dylan, currently in P5. AMF, yeah, we've got some Aston Martins, we've got an XP, we've got Manolo out, we've got some QSLs, we've got both FRC cars. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to do a quick, another run through the lineup. Yeah, we do have everyone here pretty much. A couple extra drivers. Cool. Right, let's follow the action, shall we? Cray 54 coming across the final corner now into turn 17. He comes and he will set his first qualifying lap, his first valid qualifying lap of the session, and that's good enough for P5, a 1:30.55, only 400 short of the second Alpine of Misha, who's currently also on a flying lap, and he's in the first sector as he comes across the line. What is his improvement? Well, it's 8 thousandths, so he's got plenty to work on through the couple following sectors. And I just need to make sure, yeah, my mic is working. Excellent. Now, I do find that the volume, for some reason, decides to, I don't know, get softer as time goes by, or as I speak, and I still haven't found a fix for it. I thought I did, and then I logged on just before the race, and it's still giving me hassle. So if I do get a bit quiet, do let me know, and then I can change that for ya. Cool. Misha, the second Alpine, about to set his lap time. The other Alpine has now pretty much just crossed the line. Jerem sets a time as well, a 1:31.459, and the QSL pulls into the pits too, and so does Misha actually, so it wasn't a flying lap, this was his pitting lap. Exotic Planes has unfortunately invalidated his lap time. Exotic Planes was one of the drivers that contributed to EVR's incredible streak of pole positions, and Leo was due to do the same at Canada last week, but unfortunately didn't manage to do so. He almost managed a podium finish. He almost managed the race win, in fact, with their winning strategy in the final 3 laps of the race, but unfortunately things just didn't work out for them as Linares got passed under DRS, and of course all the penalties got applied, which meant that Knight, the driver we follow now, and who just set the best second sector of all, it meant that Knight crossed the line in P1 and, yeah, got himself a second race win of the season for himself, but a third for the team. So incredible stuff from Alien Motorsport. At this point in time, they've scored 3 wins, 4 podiums, 2 fastest laps, and 2 pole positions. So this is definitely a team to watch out for, a team that is likely the strongest challenger to EVR's dominance. And Knight now comes across the line 2/10 clear of Dylan in the XR8 car, who is actually also taken P2 away from Leo. So those invalidated lap times are costing EVR. Misha's now on his out lap. We've got a slow moving Kalu Blue, unless that's just me not being used to the speed through this circuit. Sasha Good has just joined. Who is Sasha Good? And I do also apologise if you keep hearing hiccups. I've just had a very delicious barbecue for dinner. It was burgers with cheese and ketchup, and then of course rolls with sausages and also ketchup. So yeah, I'm stuffed pretty much. However, I'm sure you guys are starving for some action, and that will be coming soon. We have 6 minutes left in qualifying. We're more than halfway through, so the action should start heating up now as some of our challengers for pole position come across the line soon. Chowski is potentially one of those drivers. The QSL team have been very good as of earlier, I would say as of late, but unfortunately they've only managed to score a podium once in the last 3 weeks, and that was at the last race in Canada, taking P2, but of course that was after all the penalty chaos, so there's still plenty of opportunity for them to improve. Dylan and Knight both come into the pits. However, both EVR cars are out. We've got Leo, who will cross the line behind Exotic Planes. Exotic Planes will be the first to come across the line. However, before both of them, we have got Misha for the Alpine squad for Alien Motorsport, who will be setting his first lap time before they do. A 1:30.5 is his current best time. Let's see if he can improve. He's got to improve by half a second to take pole position, and he has set the fastest first sector, so there is potential here. If he can keep his momentum going throughout the final sector and keep it going in this sector as well, then he should be fine. And as long as he doesn't run into any potholes or any manhole cover lids, he should be fine. Hopefully we won't have any of those incidents tonight. Should be all clean, and Misha showing yes, he can keep up the momentum. Fastest sector 2 time as well, 2/10 improvement. Then he needs to make another 3/10 in this final sector. He's just deployed the DRS. Will the Williams get out the way? I'm not quite sure, but he is ghosted, so there's no need to worry about that too much. It is Bibbin who is on his out lap. There's no, well, Bibbin and Jerem are both on their out lap, so nothing to worry about. Misha now through the penultimate corner down Harmon Avenue. What can he do through the final corner? Is this going to be pole position for Misha? Is it going to be an improvement? It's an improvement. It is P3 for the Alien Motorsport car. He's maybe got one more shot at pole position, but the drivers behind are also looking for that coveted P1 position, as Exotic Planes now makes his way into the DRS zone. Just activated his DRS into turn 14, and he will be the next driver to cross the line to set a time. And this is, again, potentially his penultimate lap time, so if he can keep it clean, but at the same time give it everything he's got, this could be pole position for him. However, you know, obviously he's still got that one shot afterwards, as long as he can keep it clean. And yes, he does take pole position by 1,000th. Incredible stuff from Exotic Planes. The next driver will be Leo, but he does pull into the pits, I suspect, due to a invalidation, and it's the same for Liagos, unfortunately. How about these other cars, though? Knight has yet to come back out. Dylan, I'm sure, will also take a shot at a lap. Bibbin now making his way through Sector 1, and he's just made it within the top 10. Jerem unfortunately struggling, still within the top 15, just about, just hanging in there. And the QSL cars, as usual, unfortunately not quite performing as well. They're more well known to perform throughout the race. They're well known to absolutely send it through the race and make incredible gains. These are guys where outright pace isn't for them. Although, to be fair, that said, they have got a couple fastest laps under their belt, so there is, there's that to keep in mind as well. And the fact that they've taken a win in 3 podiums this season, yeah, it just shows race is their strength. Qualifying, not so much. That's EVR and AMS's side. Potentially even XR8 or XPG. I'm not sure. I don't really think XPG have gotten anything on the line as such for them. Shanks is also making his way around the circuit on his out lap. No flying lap for him yet. Both FRC cars down in P12 and P13, and unfortunately, they've just been struggling this season. They've just not managed to quite get themselves into the spotlight. They've not quite had the pace really to be challenging too much. And Exotic Plains retires from the session actually. So that's him out of the runnings. No potential for improvement there. Bibbin, though, improves up to P7. So good stuff from the F1 Academy France team. And again, for those who don't know, it's very difficult for me to say that team name without going all French or saying it in a French accent. Dylan is on his flying lap. He's just started it. Let's go on board to see what it's like down on the tight street circuit of Las Vegas. Here we go, that was just exiting turn 4. You've got a DRS zone down Koval Lane. Then into the right-hander of turn 5, and then another complex section of turns 6 through 9. So it's a left-hander, then a sharper left-hander. You can see he brings the car out to the right-hand side, round to the right through turn 8, then another left-hander through turn 9 and onto Sands Avenue. But he has invalidated his lap time, so I think it's not quite going to be a pole position for Dylan tonight. But of course, we'll just finish the lap through it. Turns 10 and 11, lazy turns, then into turn 12, chuck it round that left-hander, then into Las Vegas Boulevard. And of course, he has to let the faster cars by here on the straight when he can. AMS Knight on a flying lap as well. He's in the first sector, a driver to keep an eye on. Misha comes across the line to set his final lap time. P4 for Misha, that's the best position he can have. Leo is another driver to keep in mind, of course, the EVR Challenger. Exotic Plains has taken pole position, but of course he can't defend that. So whoever comes across the line next with a faster lap time will take it. Also out on track, he's just invalidated his lap time. Bibbin crawling along the line, that's his lap time complete. Liargos, not anything on the cards for him. Callow Blue finishes with a P9 best finish. QSL lowered on a 0.2 improvement, so is QSL Chowski. So some stuff here going on for QSL. Unfortunately lowered, only manages P15 with a 131.3, but of course we've got this little group coming across the line first. Leo comes across, P3 for him. Knight takes pole position by a 10th, and that concludes that battle. We could potentially see more coming across the line. We have got Liargos in the Ferrari, still yet to finish his lap time, but he has invalidated. Enzo also yet to finish his lap time. 0.2 improvement through the first and second sectors. What can he do into the final corner? We are waiting for the FRC driver to come across the line. What can he manage? 12th is unfortunately the position that Enzo will have to settle for tonight. Under the light of the Las Vegas Strip, we of course have AMS Knight taking pole position once more for Alien Motorsport, third pole position for the season. However, he's got both EVR cars right on his tail. Exotic Plains and Leo threatening to come by into turn 1. Dylan in P4 for XR8, doing them proud, and Misha rounding out your top 5 in the other Alpine. Join us in just a few moments for the race start. We will be going away for just a brief break, but join us in just a few moments for that race start. Grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the EML F1 Season 8 Championship, and today you join us for round 8 here at Las Vegas on the Las Vegas Strip. We've just come off the back of a relatively tame qualifying session. Knight took pole position for Alien Motorsport once more, their third pole position of the season. However, EVR were hot on their heels, both cars qualifying in P2 and P3. So both EVR cars already in the podium positions. Now, can they manage to convert those two starting positions into two podium finishing positions? That is the question we're all waiting for, because if so, that would be their 6th and 7th podium of the season, while Alien Motorsport continue to chase their 5th podium. They've been doing very well recently. They've had a podium the last 3 races, while Evolution Racing have had 5 podiums over the last couple races. Is it 5 podiums? Yeah, they've been on a podium streak. They've been on a big podium streak. XR8 is also not too far behind, with Dylan starting in P4, and of course P5 being the other Alpine, the other Alien Motorsport car. So some good points hauls for the teams right up at the top. QSL unfortunately not quite managing the same level. F1AF, HRT, FRC, all of those teams slightly struggling, and DLX a similar story, and no PEC cars out tonight, unfortunately. No one available. So we'll have to wait and see how the race start goes. And we do only have one XPG car, forgot to mention. Now before us awaits 95 miles of racing. So there's a big difference in that. I did think of calculating the race length in kilometers, but then just didn't get round to it. But you know, if you multiply 95 by 1.6, you get roughly the amount of kilometers. But again, that's an approximation, isn't it? 1.6 kilometers for every mile. It's a rough approximation. If you really want to get down to it, I know inches to centimeters is 2.54, but the lights come on now. And it's go time. 17 cars go roaring down to turn 1 to start 25 laps of racing, and it's a good start for Exotic Plains. He takes the race lead right from the get-go. Knight drops to P2. On the inside, he's got Leo, though, who looks for another position round the outside now for the following corner. Can he stave him off for the next right-hander? That is the question. Can Knight make the position on the next McLaren? He's already on the inside and alongside. Passed by the time they hit the braking zone. Already we've had 2 overtakes for the race lead within the first 5 corners, and there is a little bit of touching in the background, a little bit of contact, a little bit of carbon fiber flying up into the air, but all relatively clean as our drivers now make their way into the second sector. Knight emerges as the race leader still, despite an effort from Exotic Plains to get past into turn 1. A great start from the EVR car, and Leo also attempting to get alongside, but unfortunately not managing to stay alongside for enough to take the position. As it stands, Knight leads Exotic Plains P2 and Leo is P3. Leo, of course, last week was hunting for that race win. Can he manage it this week? He's behind Exotic Plains, his own teammate, who also was hunting the race lead back in round 3 at China. But unfortunately, things just didn't quite work out as well, and he spun in the typical EVR fashion, but they've managed to stay consistent this season, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue for them. But Leo is right up behind his teammate, potentially even giving him a bump draft through turn 17. There was a look on the inside from Exotic Plains on Knight, but nothing as of yet. Dylan still in P4, so he's also keeping an eye on this battle ahead, almost alongside of the EVR cars as they make their way through turn 3 and turn 4 now, and Dylan is also close to the rear end of that EVR car ahead, and the DRS is already hit. You can see the globe to the right of your screen. I don't know what that turns into, but Antonio G's and Bibben have just swapped positions for P8, and Dylan having a look towards the inside. maybe a different racing line, maybe just trying to put the cars ahead off their line, trying to distract them. I'm not sure. Well, might be working since there's a lockup from the EVRs ahead, but of course this XR8 has lost traction on the exit, and he's got 2 Ferraris right behind him looking to pounce onto the top 5 positions. Kra already in P5, but I'm sure they want both cars within the top 5 to start scoring some points for the team that is unfortunately not managing to score anything this season. They are right down at the bottom of the standings board. And here goes Exotic Plains on the inside, and he's got the DRS. He's passed. Can it be 2 for the price of 1? Is it going to be 3? Is Dylan going to come across? And is he going to make his way down the inside into the next corner? Not this time round. Exotic Plains and Leo take P1 and P2 for the race on the second lap, as Knight drops behind them thanks to the DRS. But we do have a virtual safety car as Enzo and Sasha seems to have tangled down in P16 and P17. And we can see a driver already deciding to duck into the pits. Loward has had a huge accident somewhere. His whole front wing's missing. Bibin also into the pits. Chowski is the final driver that has not chosen to go into the pits yet. Exotic Plains then still in the race lead with Leo behind. Knight in P3, Dylan P4 and Kra P5. Both Ferraris have done well to get past Misha. Misha's actually dropped 2 positions from his race start. Evening Ramon, welcome to the action. Knight has been fighting for the race lead with both EVR cars. You can see them here. He started on pole position and actually lost the race lead into the first corner, but managed to make it back up into turn 5 despite Leo's best efforts to put him down to P3. And then on the DRS straight in the second lap, they then managed to get back past, and it's a restart. The virtual safety car has just stopped, and now Leo has got Knight all over the back of him. Is he going to try and hold them off? Oh my goodness, and there's a Ferrari going off to the side of the track. Kra managing to keep the car out of the walls. Good stuff. Great reflexes from that red car. Now we need to make that position on Misha at some point, and it's DRS for Leo. He goes right side. Where will Knight go? Knight goes left side, and both cars go both sides, and Knight down the inside into the next corner, and he has taken the race lead. Exotic Plains drops to P3, so it seems as though you can lose 2 positions if the cars are close enough on the DRS straight, but without DRS, Leo is still looking competitive, still looking to take the race lead into turn 1, but there is no chance of that. We've got some support for Enzo and Shanks, both FRC cars competing tonight. Keep the team love coming, guys. They really appreciate it. They all love it. We've had some support for QSL in the past as well. Knight deciding to go slightly on the defense into turn 5. He saw the McLaren having a look, but he's stuck to the outside. Didn't manage to make any advantage there. Didn't manage to get any advantage out of that scenario. Now the tight, twisty section out onto turn 9 onto Sands Avenue. This will lead into a slightly lazy right and left-hander, and then into a very sharp left-hander. Probably the most famous corner on the circuit. It's just one of those corners. That and turn 14 are both very famous corners. But here we go onto the DRS straight, and even without DRS, the EVR of Leo has got an advantage. He's just got the slipstream, and already there you go. You can hear the beat for the DRS. Both cars go past. Leo got caught up on the Alpine, and now Exotic Plains takes the race lead. Both EVR cars now in P1 and P2. Again, if they can keep this going, they've got a 1-2. Oh my goodness, but not if Leo hits the wall and damages his car. Is this grounds for an overtake into turn 1 by the Alpine? He's close enough now. Is it going to be a move? He looks to the inside. No, nothing there. I saw Dylan in the background having a look. And Liargos manages to make his way past Misha. They're having a battle there for P5, is it? Yeah, P5. And yes, Ramon, there is a wall there. And I'm sure Leo found that out. Knight right behind him looking for that position. This is what the gaps look like. Dylan right up behind these guys. Any mistake, he'll pounce on it. Liargos a little further back, so not quite able to take advantage of a bad scenario here. But that said, he's already caught up to the rear end into the second sector. Misha a little further back, and Kra a lot further back, 2.5 seconds. He's outside that DRS window. Jerem in P8, Antonio Jesus in P9, Shanks P10 with Chowski P11. Then we've got Callow Blue and Manolo in P12 and P13 closely matched. Bibbin in P14 with Lowered, Enzo and Sasha Good rounding out your grid. But here we go on the main straight once again. DRS helping Knight. He didn't even need the DRS though. That was just purely down to the slipstream. Can Dylan do anything? Dylan has a front row seat to this battle. They're boxing him in. Look at that. Both EVR cars boxing in Knight, and he had nowhere to go. Tight battling here for P2. Oh my goodness, there's contact between Knight and Dylan. And through goes LeagueRacing, through goes Misha, and both Alpines are now in P4 and P5, and we have an HRT, a Ferrari, on the podium positions. Wow! So Exotic Planes and Leo working together to keep the Alpine behind, boxing him in, and yeah, just on the exit again, Leo applying so much pressure, trying to squeeze that Alpine, and eventually it was just too much. She squeezed him just a little bit too much. Knight got a little unsettled, and there was contact, and as a result, Liargos and Misha managed to slip through Dylan down to P6. Actually, no, sorry, it was actually Dylan who tried to make the position on Knight, and then the process, unfortunately, yeah, there was just something that happened there. So, yeah, a bit dangerous, I would agree, Ramon. Yes, it was dangerous. The first play, though, absolutely brilliant. I think that first play was really heads-up driving by Leo, really heads-up driving by Exotic. Some great stuff. But now they've got Liargos to worry about. Now they've got that P3 car. Now they've got that Ferrari to watch out for. What can he do on their chances? What can he do to their chances at a double podium finish? What can he do at their chances of P2 or P1 even? The DRS kicks in. He's looking to the outside already, not using the slipstream too much. Will the two EVR cars swap positions here? Yes, they will, but no, they actually don't. Under braking, they're just not alongside, and LeagueRacing still stuck behind them. Knight in P4, of course, dropped outside the podium positions, having started in P1. So the race isn't going his way on lap 6 at this point. Sasha Good and QSL lowered right alongside each other into the final couple corners. So some close battling for P16 over here. And of course, the top 15 score points. So even if these guys are just fighting for these last two positions, there is potential that that can turn into some point scoring positions. Knight has caught up to the back of LeagueRacing. He's now 0.3 seconds off of him, and then it's again 3 tenths, 2 tenths between LeagueRacing and Leo. Leo and Exotic Planes. Of course, the drivers do have a pit stop lying ahead of them, and at the moment, let's have a quick look at the tyres that these drivers are running. They're all running hards except for Antonio Jesus, Jerem, Callow Blue, Enzo, and Lowered. Of course, earlier had some sort of accident, but unfortunately we didn't quite get to see what the accident was. But here we go, around the outside for Knight. He's had the momentum, he's had the slipstream, and he's passed up into P3. What can he do? Can he take P2 away from Leo? Is he maybe holding back? Is he scared of what these EVR cars can do? Hangs back, and both EVR cars are still in P1 and P2. Maybe he's just hanging back to take care of the tyres. Maybe he's keeping the long game in mind. Well, I mean, it costs nothing to get past the Argos, right? Well, it took a little more to try and get past Leo and Exotic Planes, and he hasn't managed to do that. Round the outside into turn 1, though, he's alongside Leo. If he can stay there for the next right-hander, he might have a shot at this, but Liargos now comes around the outside for the right-hander, which means he'll be alongside for the left-hander potentially, but unfortunately under pressure, yeah, Liargos has folded, and unfortunately he can't quite do anything. DRS again, once activated, again down into turn 5, but nothing happens there. So all in all, their positions just stay exactly the same, but Knight is now right up behind Leo's tail. He really wants to get past. So yeah, as we were saying, hard tyres for everyone except the drivers who pitted earlier with that incident. Or pretty much. A few drivers may be slightly different. Some improvements there, and we'll have a look at some more stats in just a few moments. However, we need to keep an eye on these guys as they now make their way onto the straight. We've got Knight, Leo and Exotic Plains all vying for P1. Then we've got Liagos a little further behind, Misha even further behind. And here we go, Knight round the outside of Leo. Now he only needs to make the position up to Plains. He's right up behind him now. Is going to be a move into turn 14. Is going to be a late lunge. No, he decides to stay back and preserve his tyres. I noticed there that Exotic Plains is using a lot of the curb, and you can see that rear wheel bouncing a little bit as he came across that rear left. And again, a virtual safety car. Again, there's something going on here at the back of the back of the pack. Bibin, Enzo, no, Callow Blue, was it? So yeah, these drivers at the back, again, some sort of accident, some sort of crash happening. Fortunately, they are still in the race. Fortunately, they are still going. Antonio Jesus and Jeren, though, both pit once more. And Manolo is now up into P10. And Sasha has left the session, the other XR8, so that is maybe the cause of this virtual safety car. The other XR8, unfortunately, not having the best of days, while Dylan is up in P6 and still potentially looking at a podium position here, considering the amount of chaos we've seen in the last 9 laps. Now, if you're wondering when pit stops will start coming in, that'll happen about the halfway mark. That'll be around lap 12, I would say. And we're only 3 laps away from that. And you usually have a 2-3 lap window either side of that benchmark. So we could potentially see some pit stops coming in now, regardless of whether it's an accident or not. But as it stands then, Exotic Plains still leading the race with Knight in P2, but it might not be for long. Knight in P2 already moves for the overtake around the outside. He's got the slipstream, and look at how tight Exotic Plains is squeezing him. However, he leaves enough space for Leo. Leo challenges. He's got both the slipstream and the DRS down the inside now into turn 14, side by side. And Leo takes the race lead away from Knight after gaining it for just a second from the other EVR. Exotic Plains in P3, but now we've got Misha making a move as well. Misha in P4 coming alongside Exotic Plains round the outside. Both Alpines and both McLarens now fighting for P1, P2, P3 and P4. Knight and Misha at the end of it coming out in P3 and P4, while Liagos and Dylan wait patiently for their opportunity. Dylan maybe not so patient alongside the Ferrari into the next right-hander. Will he have the opportunity to make an overtake? Everyone has got DRS here. This is chaos now. Knight now around the outside of Leo. Misha just waiting for his opportunity, maybe slightly wide for Knight as they headed into turn 5, through turn 6 and turn 7 though. Misha has got Liagos to worry about. Everyone has got a driver ahead and a driver behind up here in the top 5. Dylan is the only driver that can really just get his head down and look at the pack ahead and decide which gap he's going to take, which opportunity he's going to take, and he's the only one that can really take the most advantage of a bad situation here. If someone crashes here, if there is chaos up here, if we can maybe have a huge crash again, we maybe have a collision between the leaders here, Dylan is the driver in the best position to do something about it. Into the DRS zone we go once more. Everyone here will have DRS. Both AMS cars will have DRS. Knight already using the slipstream. He's going around the outside. Oh my goodness, there's contact between the two of them. Exotic Plains just closes the door and smashes himself into the wall. Knight takes P2, but on the exit, scuffs it. And now Misha is now around the outside and takes P3. Knight, I'm sure, very upset with that. And almost looks as though he's going into the pits, but there we go. Oh my goodness, contact between himself and Dylan. Dylan now rolls around the outside for P3. Liagos, will this be another position lost for Knight after the contact with the other EVR car of Exotic Plains? No, he does manage to hold on to that position. But what happened there? What has happened there? We'll have a little look at that in just a second before we head into turn 5, though. We might have a little bit of action. No, so through the side and twisty section. What happened there? Exotic Plains was ahead. Knight was coming up behind him. There was a gap there, and then he closed it just as Knight had his nose in there. And I mean, I'd say, yeah, I don't know. Let me guys think. Who do you guys think was in the fault for that? I think it might be a bit of both. There was a gap there, and he didn't quite keep it open or closed. And then as he was closing it, Knight decided to go for it. I'd say it's Actually, now I'm more thinking about it, it might be night. It might be on night, this one. Out into the main straight, though. Let's hope we don't get a repeat of what happened there. Dylan right up behind Misha now. Is this going to be P2 for XR8? Well, it looks like it. He just goes sailing by on the straight. Can Knight overtake his own teammate for the final podium position? Yes, he can. Easy stuff. The Argos, unfortunately, the one driver who's not managed to do anything, down in P5. And again, I do apologise. Oh my goodness! Dylan has made contact with the wall and it's moving slowly. Kraz catching up to the back of him as well. Dylan now chooses to come into the pits at an apt time. Lap 11, not too far off. And oh my goodness, and he gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This essentially then promotes Kra up into P5 guaranteed. And now he's got that front wing damage to sort out. That could potentially lead to a very long pit stop indeed. Wow, so things happening here in the final couple laps until we hit the halfway mark. Lap 12 now. Leo leading the race. Knight in P2, Misha in P3 with both HRT cars in the top 5. Wow, so some good stuff from the Ferrari drivers. You can see Misha right up on the back end of Knight here for P2. If this is your first time joining us, welcome, by the way. You're joining us right in the middle of round 8 of the EML F1 Season 8 Championship, and we've just had an incredible battle for the race lead. We had 5 drivers all vying for it. We had both EVR cars, we had both Alpines, we had almost both HRT cars, and we had an XR8 also fighting for position there. And then there was some miscommunication. And yeah, one of the cars got smashed into the wall, another car lost 2 positions, one got promoted, another one got promoted, and one of them headed into the pits after making contact with a wall coming out of turn 13. So a lot of stuff happened in literally just the last 2 minutes. I wouldn't say last 2 minutes, I'd say maybe last 3 or 4 minutes. So if you're looking for some action, check that out, because a lot has just happened. Everything's kind of calmed down now as the pit stop chaos sets in. Leo leading the race in P1 with Misha in P2 and Knight P3. Could this be 2 Alien Motorsport cars on the podium tonight? Could be a double podium for them. Well, this would then make this their 5th and 6th podium of the season. And Dylan has just retired from the session. No. Dylan was the XR8 up in P4 who was hanging around waiting for an opportunity, and unfortunately hit a wall on the exit of turn 16. And yeah, that's his race over. So both RBs have now left the session. Both RBs have retired from the race. Oh my goodness, that sucks. Oh, I feel for them. I feel for them. Again, teammate rivalry going on between Knight and Misha, or maybe not even rivalry, just straight up business exchange. Just, you get past, you got DRS, okay, you get past, and we do have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Who is that? Is that Jerem? No, that's a semi-stationary, I'm feeling that was Antonio Jesus, no. Yeah, I have a feeling that was Jerem, who was just struggling. Leo wins the pits, and he's got a 10-second time penalty. This could mix things up. Both AMS cars could end up taking the race lead and P2 respectively. The Argos and Kra also come into the pits. Shanks in P3. So the FRC car showing some promise here. I'd love to see what the positions gained are here, but unfortunately I can't. Manolo and Leo both got 10-second time penalties for speeding in the pit lane. And I'm surprised we haven't actually seen 3-second penalties for track limits yet. We might have some yet. It's a little early to call that. We could potentially have some. Big lock-up from Knight ahead as we still stay on board with Misha in P2. Could we see both cars pit at the same time? Could we see a bit of variation? Could we see one of the Alpines pit early, one of the Alpines pit later? As long as they're both ahead of Leo, they know they've done a good job. Knight comes across Misha, and they swap positions. So Ramon, I'm sure you'll be happy to see your teammates absolutely destroying the competition today. Or the competition destroying themselves, I guess, is another way you could see it. And across the line once more to start lap 15, and they swap positions there. Again, probably just due to momentum. There's no need to fight your teammates if you're both trying to build a gap. There's place for that later. 10 laps to go, pretty much 11 laps to be more precise. Leo is in P4 as Shanks pits. The Argos and Exotic Plains will likely come across past him as well. So it could still be a top 10 finish for Shanks. Not a bad showing at all from the FRC driver. Closest gap at the moment is between Antonio Jesus and Kra. We've seen Antonio Jesus go head-to-head with a few cars. Can we see gap to leader, asks Ramon. Well, I mean, gap to leader, for you guys, it's not really going to make a difference because you guys are on exactly, well, one of your cars is the leader at night. But yes, we can have a look at that. Let's see. Is it gap? There we go. Interval, gap to leader. There we go, half a second is the gap between Knight and Misha, and then it's 12.7 seconds to Leo from the leader, 16.5 seconds ahead of the Argos, and 18.5 seconds ahead of Exotic Plains. And what's the fastest lap? Fastest lap at the moment is held by Knight. He's 3/10 faster than his teammate. Any other drivers to keep an eye on? Well, Exotic Plains with the 133 dead is one car to keep an eye on. Misha now comes across with a 133.2. Also similar for Enzo down in P11, so we could still see some stuff from that FRC2. And Leo just sets the fastest lap of the race. Takes that extra point. Again, remember we've got an extra point available for the fastest lap and the pole position, as Knight now comes out right behind Exotic Plains. So a little bit of a shake-up here when it comes to the top 5. Misha still leading, but he has yet to do his pit stop. We've got Leo in P2 with a 10-second time penalty. Liagos and Exotic Plains in P3 and P4, while Knight rounds out your top 5. And actually, we do need a little more detail here. There we go, interval. And Knight has got an Alpine all over the back of him, and on the exit, look at how quickly that Alpine has just gone flying by. Could that be a little bit of a lift from Exotic? Just apologise for what happened earlier. I could be reading into scenarios that don't actually exist, but just to give you some context, Exotic Plains and Knight collided on the main straight, the straight as you head into turn 14, and as a result of that, that put Knight a couple positions down. Exotic Plains headed into the pits for a new wing as he now looks to the inside. Oh my goodness, there's a blocking from the Alpine. Under braking though, the McLaren goes flying across the circuit and just about gets stopped. And it's close racing here into turn 14 between these two cars. You can see there's no love lost between these two. They are going to continue fighting for P4 as hard as they humanly can. Misha now pits, and Leo is left in the race lead with Liagos in P2. Knight and Plains will be P4 and P5 still as Misha emerges in the final podium position. Look at that, 2 Alpines, P3 and P4. An HRT car, yes I know, a Ferrari in P2, incredible stuff. And of course an EVR in the race lead. Heading into lap 17, we have still another 9 laps to go before the race is over, so there's still plenty of time for action between AMS and EVR, the 2 old rivals, once again going head to head. I'm not sure who will come out with an advantage in terms of point scoring for this season, because it is about a 20-point difference, a 15-point difference between EVR and AMS. Just keeping an eye on these two AMS cars swapping position. Is it an Alpine staying ahead of the EVR behind though? Can the McLaren get alongside into the braking zone? No, he decides to pull back. Cool. So all still well there. Kra is now right up behind Shanks. This is a possible P6 position for the HRT driver. Half a second between them as they come into the final corner. We could potentially see an overtake into turn 14 as usual after that incredibly long straight, and then the DRS section, of course. But yeah, Knight and Misha, if everything finishes as they do now, Leo will get 22 points for the race. Oh, but don't forget he has got a penalty, doesn't he? Can't remember what that penalty is though. How much it is. I think, yes, it's 10 seconds for Leo. So 10-second penalty for Leo. That could potentially mean him dropping down all the way down to P4 and then promoting everyone else. So we could potentially see Liagos win this race. We could see a Ferrari on the podium for the first time this season in their second showing. They both retired at Canada last week, but he still has a 5-second gap to manage 2 Leo ahead. He still needs to finish within 10 seconds. So if he can stay within that 10 seconds, he'll be fine. He's currently 5 seconds off of Leo. There is potential there to either lose it or just stay there. He does seem to be losing time though. We could have a quick look at their fastest lap times 2. Fastest lap is obviously up tonight, a 32.9 from the Argos and a 32.8. So it's just a 10th difference, so not much there. Not much between these two cars for who's faster. So again, it's incredibly close there, and looks like Kra managed to make his way past Shanks while we were deliberating, while we were talking about potential standing. So yeah, if we think about it, Leo, well, I mean, in any case, if Leo then comes in behind either one of the AMS cars, potentially both AMS cars, you know, obviously that means AMS will have an advantage when it comes to the points. P2 scores 18 points while P3 scores 15 points, so that's 23 points for them if they finish P2 and P3, both cars on the podium. And Exotic Planes receives a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, probably track limits as well as the root cause. So now not only will EVR lose P1, they'll be losing P5 as well if they're not careful. There's a 1.8 second gap to Kra behind, so as long as Exotic Planes can build the gap to the Ferrari there, he could potentially still finish within the top 5. But yeah, for Leo, he's got a lot of work ahead of him. He's not doing too badly though, up to 5.8 seconds ahead of the Argos now. So that he's building that gap, 6.2 seconds, so he could potentially still hold on to the race lead. P2 is still a viability, P3 and P4 maybe. But yeah, 6.2 seconds between them. There is not much going on between those cars. There is not much happening between them. Kra half a second behind Shanks once more. Another one of those battles further down that we can't quite look at yet, or haven't quite had a chance to kind of look at for a while. Bibin and Chowski vowing for P9. Potentially another point on the line for one of those guys. Manolo and Enzo a second between them, so just within a second for them. And Misha is now within a second of the Argos, so they've done well to close that gap. And it's Shanks and Kra alongside through the left-hander, and that is the Ferrari passed up into P6. Could we have 2 HRT cars in the top 5? Well, it wasn't too long ago when we were thinking the same thing right at the start of the race. If they can finish even just like this, I'm sure they will not be unhappy. They will not be unupset. Unupset is not a word. Unupset would mean the same thing. They won't. No, they will not be unupset. That would mean they are upset. Sorry, I'm just rubbish at grammar. Shanks, though, has got no confusion as to where he's going. He wants to go down the inside, and he does make the move on the HRT car. And actually, that's what Knight and Misha did in the foreground as well. We didn't actually see that. They closed the gap to the Argos, and now we've taken P2 and P3, both AMS cars on the podium, and Liargos locked out of that position. Now he's got 2 Alpines to work through. Can he make a position? Is he going to even finish on the podium? It's 7.5 seconds between Leo and Knight for the race lead. Liargos looks to the inside through turn 4, but that's going to turn into the outside for turn 5. Things are spicing up here for P2, potentially P1, as the Argos hits the wall on the right-hand side. How is the damage to his car? I can't quite see too much. He has lost his right winglet, so maybe a little bit of downforce loss there. Exotic Planes might start closing that gap up to the Ferrari to take P5. Well, actually, Kra just made that position. Kra is absolutely flying tonight. Kra making up some good positions. And actually, if we check the overall positions gained, let's have a quick look here. Detail, position change. So Leo up 2 positions from where he started. Knight down 1 position. Misha up 2 positions. Liargos up 4 positions from where he started. Shanks and Antonio Jesus up 6 positions from where they started. So good stuff from FRC and DLX, but we've got a 3-way fight now between EVR, FRC and HRT. 3 wide into turn 14. The Ferrari in the middle with a Mercedes on the inside and the McLaren around the outside. And Exotic Planes takes P5 with Kra in P6 and Shanks in P7. So a great battle unfolding before us for P5. And that could be potentially, this is really for Shanks, this is P5 in the back for him already. So actually it's just trying to build up to the back of Liargos, build up to the back of the other Ferrari, so that he can then start fighting for P4 and potentially then the final podium position if the penalties get applied, because of course the driver in the race lead, Leo, has got a 10-second time penalty. Exotic Planes and Kra both have penalties as well. All stuff to keep in mind. Antonio Jesus and Chowski, also another battle going on potentially for P8. And Manolo and Enzo are also going head-to-head for P11. Both FRC cars being fairly active tonight. It's great to see. But yeah, at this point in time, 4 laps to go. We've got Leo in the race lead as Kalu Blue retires from the session. And safety car gets brought out. That is likely due to Kalu Blue. Oh my goodness. So that will close the gap between Nice and Leo. That will mean when the safety car gets going again, we'll have everyone right up behind each other. Let's have a look at the penalties to see how this will affect everyone. 3 seconds for Exotic Planes, 5 seconds for Kra, and here we go, Leo straight into the pits, again making a strategic call, swapping to those soft tyres, I'm guessing. So Leo into the pits, he's got a gap to Knight, who needs to close that gap. If he can just drive faster, no, Knight also comes in to change tyres, so does Misha. Everyone taking the opportunity to change their tyres now behind the safety car. Leo, of course, will be using his 10-second time penalty. You can see the mechanics waiting before they could apply any torque gun to the tyres, and the penalties essentially get cleared now. Exotic Planes also serving his penalty. Everyone pretty much clear of their penalties now as they come out behind the safety car. Knight in P1 after Leo, of course, had to serve his 10-second time penalty. Misha in P3. Liargos comes out P4, and Exotic Planes P5 still with his penalty, and so does Kra also come out with his penalty intact as well. So for Shanks, this is ideal. He's already gained a position, and of course, anything can happen with this race restart. It also depends on when the safety car comes in. If the car comes in now, then for Kra, it's not great because he's 6 seconds behind these guys. He can't, I mean, he'll close it anyways though, so there's no need to worry about that too much. Yeah, here we go, 3 laps remaining. Again, there seems to be a tradition with our recent races, pulling out the safety car 3 laps from the end. Let's hope that we can keep this from happening every race. I hope it was only for round 7 and round 8. Let's make round 9 different, boys. I mean, we've already done better than last week, though. We did have a red flag last time, so it's already an improvement. tyre warming going on in the background. Let's see, has everyone swapped to the soft tyre? Yes, everyone is on softs, and Exotic Plains and Kra are the drivers with penalties. So this is just straight up 2 to 3 laps of just pure action, and yes, the safety car comes in. Fortunately, it has only been one lap behind the safety car, and now the drivers can just go all out, 100% effort into the final 2 laps of the race. The drivers once more warming up their tyres as they approach the final corner. And they've gone. Knight storms round the start line to start the restart behind the safety car, and he's currently in the race lead ahead of Leo. Then LeagueRacing made a position right off the race start. Again, he's managed to make up a position, P3 for the HRT. Misha caught sleeping. Leo caught sleeping as well, potentially into turn 5. No, nothing there. Misha looking to make up that position once more, and we've got a DLX going defensive on Chelsky into turn 5 as well, out of the DRS zone. 2 laps remaining once again. We're approaching the end of the race, and everyone can just go flat out. 100% effort from these drivers. This DRS zone is going to be crazy down the Las Vegas Boulevard into turn 14. Not yet, as the Argos has to go defensive against Misha. They're side by side now. He's around the outside for this next left-hander. Can he hold on to it as they go through turn number 12? Just about given enough space, and the Exotic Blades is also getting involved here. The other EVR getting involved on the inside of LeagueRacing for that position, and LeagueRacing has dropped down 2 positions, down to P5, but up at the top, Leo will be taking the race lead here if he's got the DRS. No DRS for anyone though, because it's not quite early enough. Exotic Plains swapping positions, no, not quite on the cards. Just enough space left between the EVR of Exotic Plains and Misha. Again, this battle between AMS and EVR for both the race lead and the championship lead. On down the inside, Knight still defending from Leo. Leo manages to get alongside his teammate. Leo comes out P2, Exotic Plains P3. Oh my goodness, something's happened to the other EVR car, and he's dropped. HRT inherits P3. Down into turn 5 though, plenty of things can happen. Misha now down the inside of the Ferrari as well into turn 5, and he takes the final podium position. Oh my goodness, and there's just chaos. Oh my goodness, there's a DLX off into the side. Another HRT makes a position. We've got Shanks up in P5 now. Wow, things are happening here on the final lap of the race. Utter chaos ensues. Knight still in P1, Leo P2 with LeagueRacing in P3, Misha in P4 and Shanks P5. Exotic Plains has dropped from competing for the final podium position down to P6. He does have that penalty, so it's not really going to change things too much. But now down into the final DRS zone of the circuit, down into the most popular overtaking opportunity. Knight is in the race lead. Leo is coming up behind him. HRT in P3 could potentially sit on the podium even higher than they are now. Here we go, the battle between Leo and Knight unfolding before our eyes, and there's nothing that Knight can do. Leo takes the race lead. Can he hold on to it into the final couple corners? LeagueRacing still in P3 ahead of the other Alpine. Now through the final corner, this will be the final opportunity for Knight to make a move. Will he go for it? Will he go for the inside? There's nothing he can do. Round the outside, and Leo takes the race win with Knight in P2, and there is a Ferrari on the podium for the first time this season. HRT take their first podium this season, and Leo wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Incredible stuff. Again, final 3 laps of the race, we had a safety car, and then final lap, an absolutely massive scrap, and something happened there in the midfield with Exotic Plains, the other EVR, to spice things up once again. And there we go. And EVR takes the race win once again. Second race win of the season with an Alien Motorsport car alongside. And for the first time this season, a red Ferrari joins the podium finishes. And there we go. Once again, round 8 is complete, and we have a McLaren up in the top spot. A well-deserved win for Leo with Knight in P2, and HRT scoring their first podium in their second showing this season. An incredible achievement. And Shanks and Enzo for FRC managing to take P5 and P6. Incredible stuff. Some landmark achievements tonight. Join us again next week for another action-packed race for round 9, same time, 7 PM on a Wednesday evening, and we'll see you all next week. Good night.